everybody, it's Bill from Matt-Trakker.com, and welcome to this episode of Behind the Mask. I'm joined today with Dave, who is running Boulder Hill Archive, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to finish the racing season 3, for the tier list, and then we're going to go on after that too. But we have the first two done. Bring up the tier list in a second here. But Dave, I had an idea for this one.
Okay.
This instance of what we're doing. I didn't tell you about it before because I just wanted to spring it on you.
Oh, okay.
I think that each of us should have one. We agreed on the placing together.
Okay.
If there's one figure that you're like, we can bring that up again as a topic discussion. So like if we look here, if we think that Hondo from Hurricane should be a diamond, in the S class, bring it up.
It should be. I mean,
and then do that. But that'll be. So what we'll do is we'll do that in the middle somewhere. There's 14 figures, so we'll do that in the middle to break it up. But we'll start by getting the screen going here.
Alrighty.
1 second to share. And then, nope, that's not what I wanted. You're doing the wrong thing. And by you, I mean me. Okay, there we go. Let me know if you can see the screen, okay?
Starting.
All right, so this is the list as it stands right now. We went through Series 1, Series 2. And some people have messaged me going, hey, how come Matt's here and everything like that? And I'm like, well, we talked about it and we came up with the solution why it should be there. It had more expectations of it. And it's maybe one that we move up or move down. Who knows in this episode? The sky's the limit here. But what we're starting with today is all these guys and one girl right there. So I'm going to let Dave start today because I feel that because you're probably taller than me, I think you should go first. So that's my reasoning.
Okay.
It's sound.
I'm pretty tall.
And I'm starting with, you're starting with Ollie Bombay.
Ollie Bombay. So before I get started with Ollie, I just want to say, just kind of give my really brief feelings about the racing series. I actually really like the racing series. As a kid, when I saw the first promo for the racing series, and I need to add it to the channel one of these days. I was so excited. Like, new mask characters, new episodes, I was psyched. And then I saw the toy commercials for Bullet. I
think Goliath was in it too.
And
I think
Bulldog. The commercial's out there, yeah. I think. I just remember I was so excited. I told my dad about it because I saw it on Saturday morning, and he actually took me to the store, and we went to like 3 stores, and I found Iguana that day. So I have a lot of fond memories of the racing series. So I think it's a really underrated series. So that's just kind of my overall feeling with the racing series as a whole. So just before we get started, I kind of wanted to kind of get that out there.
Well, let me do that too then. Before we jump into Ali. I think, to be honest, some of the better toys in the line are in this series. The racing series itself, the cartoon, it leaves me wanting more. The plot didn't really hold me. Like I probably loved it when I was a kid. I don't remember fully. But when I watch it, I'm going, there's really no why. Like, okay, like what was one episode was Ali like trying to get a plant somewhere or something like that, and I'm like, it just couldn't get into it. Like, and I remember in Mask 86 when Kerouac had like that, that future scene after, spoiler alert, in his comic where they were in the racing series and everybody's friends. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it would have been something a little bit different if it was like a racing, more of a racing thing and not trying to add in some elements of the old
Mhm.
series of Mask. It could have been really cool
Mhm.
if the concept was years later, like this is how it's going on. But it was a weird jump from one to the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely understand.
That's the only thing that I'm like, it's just hard to grasp. I'll still watch them. That's not a
Mhm.
problem. When Liam's old enough to actually understand what's going on with it, I'll definitely show him those too. But
Mhm.
I I wish I could find an answer as to what happened there. None of the cast members remember. I did ask off camera
Mhm.
if they did, and they don't really know. So, but
Yeah,
it's
go
a
ahead.
good series. I think it's got really good playability in the series. Not just the toys themselves, the vehicles. We're talking about figures, but the vehicles
Mhm.
themselves, it's like you kind of think of that, that instance of it. So I don't know. So you get to start with Ali.
Yeah, because it's like it was a big format change for the series. When you went from series 1 to 2, it really was just adding more characters to the story we already had going, and this was just like we changed a lot of the dynamics, and I think that's why a lot of fans do have a hang up on this. Um, so I'm going to start with Ollie today, and got him right here with his mask. You guys will see him on the screen there. So Ollie, I think, was a character I really didn't care much for as a kid. Sorry, Brian George. He was like probably one of my least favorite mask agents as a kid. I just found him to be kind of dull in the show. I really wasn't a big fan of Bullet. But my opinion on him has changed quite a bit. Um, First off, I feel like the painting on his head is probably some of the most detailed on any figure in the entire line. Between his the cloth on his head, the green gem in the middle, the mustache, eyebrows, he's got at least three different. He's got multiple paint apps on his head, to which a lot of figures basically will have one color period on their head painted, like usually just the hair or maybe just the glasses. But he's actually got three, so that's pretty impressive. The jumpsuit is pretty appropriate for what he does. I mean, it's a motorcycle jumpsuit. It doesn't have a ton of detail, but most jumpsuits kind of don't. And I think it actually does work for him. The colors are very nice. His mask fits well on his head. It looks good on him. It looks like the show model. I actually think he's a pretty nice figure. I think he represents the character very well. Um, I really can't think of any real flaw in the design compared to the show models. And standing alone outside of that, I think it's a nice looking figure. So I'm actually kind of surprisingly kind of between A and B on this fellow. What do you think, Bill?
It's one of the more interesting figures in the line. As you pointed out, the detail on the head. I don't know what the hell you have to do to have that much detail in that such a small amount of space. Um, it's meticulous. It really is. And his design from cartoon to figure, it's pretty spot on. It's one of the better ones, I think, in the line. There are others that we haven't talked about yet, or we have talked about that really have that over there. Like the red, white, and blue. It's it's an odd color choice, but it somehow works for him. And when then you add on the purple mask, you would think the purple mask would be off-putting with the other color scheme, but I really like the way it pops off of. You have it popping off the shoulders basically, and it's off the white where it starts there and then it comes up. It helps kind of really have it differentiate itself when you're looking at it in a shelf like I am here, which only crazy people have. So, um, but like when I look down the line, I see that purple mask pop out. I go, oh, there he is. Like it was like I turned and looked and see where he was. He's right there. I just found him and it was easy to get. I like the design of this figure. It's probably one of my favorites. Bullet's not one of my favorite vehicles in the line, but this is one of my favorite figures in the line. And I really wish I can get in touch with the voice actor, Brian George. I tried to, chat with him. He wasn't on the show long, but I thought maybe he would have some insights. But I'm gonna go with you here, and I'm throwing my vote for an A for Ollie. That's what it stands for.
Sounds good to me. A for Ollie.
All right, so we got A for Ollie. Slide him on up here. There it goes. Oh, you're not going up there. Get down here. Dude, man, just does whatever he wants. All right, who do we got next here? We got Mr. Buddy Hawks. Get him down here. Now, poor Buddy, until this figure, didn't have his own vehicle. He was thrown in with Boulder Hill and in 2-packs. And in the cartoon, he was driving people's other vehicles, mostly Firecracker and Hurricane.
Mhm.
So it was nice for him to get something out of it. I think they could have done something a little better with his head sculpt. I don't know if he was still wearing headphones at this point. Like they probably could have taken that away. I don't remember if he was doing that in the cartoon series or the racing series or not. It's hard to remember that one. That's a good trivia question.
I think I'd have to actually look myself, to be honest with you. I don't think he did, but I don't want to be quoted on that one.
Yeah, I mean the figure design's solid. He still looks like he's ready to, fix anything that comes his way. And in the vehicle he comes with Wildcat. I love that one. It's such a unique change from one to the other. But we're not judging that. We're judging the figure. I like the muted color scheme here. It's very earth tony. So I don't think that's a word, but the detail, it's got subtle details that show that he's still gonna fix something, mechanic wise. The mask, I think the mask sits a little too forward on him. I think it needs to be up more. I feel like it's like arched down, like in the front. I don't know why. I always thought that it's like doesn't sit correctly where it needs to be. It needs to be more. Basically, you would have to take this back piece off of the mask, and I think then it would be better because it would actually, I think it would cover a little bit better. But for me, it's kind of similar to Ali. When you're looking at this figure, it doesn't stand out, but when you're looking at the figure, the mask stands out because everything kind of points upward toward the mask, and then you get that blue pop. So it's pretty neat in my opinion. I might go B for this one, but it's up to you on this one now. So what do you think?
I do like this figure. I think pairing with Wildcat, I mean, I know we're not really grading the vehicle, but I feel like it was a really appropriate vehicle choice for him. He's a mechanic, so he drives a tow truck.
Definitely.
Makes total sense. And the figure to me always, the original Buddy Hawks figure never really struck me as being much of a mechanic. This one, he's got the tools molded on, the vest. He looks like the team's mechanic, and it makes sense.
Yeah, the original one kind of looks like, I'm going to a concert, like that's what kind of what it looked like. Didn't really say, it didn't scream mechanic, the original one. Yeah, that's a good point.
I also like the detail in the back of him with the hawk on the back.
Yeah,
it's something I saw in the show, and I'm like, the toy doesn't have that.
Mention that.
And then I picked up the toy, and I'm like, oh wait, totally does. It's just not painted. So
I forgot to mention that. Good catch.
Yep. So that's always cool. The tools on the leg, like I mentioned, are really cool. The knee pads. He just looks like a nice figure. The mask, I agree with you. It sits way too far forward. When he's wearing, if you look at it from the side, he looks like he's almost got a humpback, and it doesn't look right on him.
I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. It's always bothered me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just crazy with that or not, but
Mhm.
it's definitely a flaw, I think.
Yeah, I've owned multiple versions of it, and every one I've had has had that same issue. So I think we can call, if yours is the same way, I think we'd say all of them are like that. So, um, all in all, I'm going to kind of echo your B listing. He's a good figure. He's not bad at all, but the mask I think just drags him down a little bit, and I feel like he maybe one or two more paint apps, like painting the hawk on the back. I assume he's Clutch Hawks. He has a hawk on his back. That's what that is. So I think that may have just pushed him a little higher. But as he stands, I think B. He's a solid figure, but he's not doing anything really super remarkable for me personally.
B.
B.
All right, B for
Brother.
buddy. Budie.
Right.
Spell it right. All right. So I lit off a buddy. You now get Boris.
Boris the Tsar Bushkin. Alrighty. Boris. First off, I'm going to say the figure is very detailed. Like looking at the back, I mean, he's got nice bandoliers, like the fur on him. It's nicely detailed, and they got a lot of detail on such a small figure, and I mean, that's really cool to me. But all I'm going to say is that there's a lot of weird with this figure. Starting in the head, he's got the M on the top. It wasn't in the show, and for the life of me, I've never got an answer of why he has an M on his, for mask. But did he tattoo it? Is it a temporary thing? Did he shave it? It doesn't look like it's hair, so I don't really get what's up with the M. He's got one boot that's painted, one that's not.
I thought of that.
I like Boris well enough, and the detail of the figure kind of keeps him from being at the bottom. But I'm almost thinking C. He's just got some weird stuff. The mask is actually very nice. I really like the design. It's kind of got, like, to me, it always looks kind of cat-like. I really liked it. The fur on it, it looks cool, but he's just a very unusual looking figure, and there's just like the M on top and like some of the weird painted choices, like the one foot that's painted, the one that isn't. It just doesn't feel quite right to me. So I don't know. It's a character I do kind of like in the cartoon, but it's not enough to keep him from being towards the bottom of the list for me.
Okay. What are you thinking?
What do you think, Bill?
You thinking C?
I think I'm C.
So I forgot about the M on his head. I still don't know what that is either. Or it's a W. I don't know. Texturally, this figure, like if you're holding it just like this, and I know this is gonna be weird, but if you're holding this figure, it has like a quality on a lot of these other figures you're not going to get. There's this texture on it. The way that they did his uniform, it's so much different. It's pretty unique in the fact that it's like that. I think it's got like a whole different texture. They want a whole different angle with designing this figure. Do I like the M on the head? Not really. The mask, I think, is one of the better ones that have been made in the line. And I really like how it just kind of fits right on top of the V on his uniform on the chest. Like it just slides right on there. And there it is. And it's like flush. It's a cool design. It's a very subtle design, but it's very effective keeping it in line. If it did something a little bit more, maybe I would be like, yeah, this is great. But I can't, just because I touch it and hold it like this weirdly. It's something where I can see it as a C, I can go in a B category, but I can aim C and be comfortable there. So that's what we'll do.
Okay.
So Boris is going up here. What do I got next? Oh God, no.
Well, he should be at like at top tier because the vehicle is associated with. I mean, anything that vehicle touches turns to gold, right?
Or Dusty. Or poor Dusty. So this is Dusty Hayes from Billboard Blast, my favorite vehicle in the line. And I just see him sitting in it. This is not fair. I'm sorry, buddy. You're not buddy. You're Dusty. All right, let's get objective. For a lot of the same reasons with his original figure, it's it's a straight repaint. I do like it. I don't like it as much as the original though. The color choices I think were really good on this. I probably would have went with maybe a little bit of a darker blue. I like the lighter orange on the outfit, but I probably would have stuck with the darker blue, similar to what his original figure had. But it's hard to say what it would look like without doing it itself. It's got all the same great details. I when I look at it, I see him, and I still picture him in the cartoon wearing this. Like, he didn't wear it a lot, but he did. The mask fits. It's one of the better ones. The design on it is, really great. Not as good as the original, but he pilots Billboard Blast, and I know I'm not supposed to be objective that way. Like, I talked about the figure, gave it its nice points, but you're in Billboard Blast. For me, it's a D just because of what you're associated with. You think about what you've done.
Or nothing.
You can try to talk me out of that. So feel free.
The issue I have with this figure is that when he appeared in the cartoon, they really didn't even change the character model at all. I feel like I like the bluish green color and the lighter orange and the gold detailing, but it just doesn't feel different enough from the original. Like, I kind of wish they would have gone like something way more different than what they kind of did. I actually don't think he's a bad figure. I mean, the original one was what we had in the A category, right? I was thinking C personally. I mean, outside of associated with Billboard Blast, he's not. He has most of the strengths of the original figure, but he's not the iconic Dusty we love. So he's basically just an inferior version of that.
He's just some guy.
Yeah.
He's some guy that sits on a billboard and claims that he's doing something.
The gold mask is nice. Like I said, the color scheme on the figure is decent, but it just never struck me as being dramatically different enough.
The gold helmet's nice. I like that. Like, I like they went from silver to gold. It's a neat little upgrade, so to speak.
But until I actually got the Billboard Blast toy, I always just assumed it was just regular Dusty sitting up there.
No, just this asshole sitting there.
Yeah, just like.
So I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm between. I think he can see personally. He's definitely not top tier.
All right, so I'm going to compromise on this. All right, I'll put him in C. Okay. But when I edit the video, I'm going to put Billboard Blast in here somewhere, and tell it like I want to put it like in like a timeout or like a jail cell or something. So we'll do it that way. It's going to be fully edited. It's going to be fantastic. Just to get it out of the way. So there he is in the C. Now it looks like you got. I think that's Maxi.
That's Maxi. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little small for me, so.
Yeah, I know.
A lot of what I'm going to say about Maxi is going to hold true for Miles because they're very similar figures. The paint's different. I always wondered if these guys were inspired by the G.I. Joe Crimson Guard twins, like or kind of like the Hasbro's G.I. Joe line says. hey, that twin thing was cool and kids like that, so let's put one in Mask and give Miles Mayhem an evil twin. I always liked Maxie in the cartoon. I always thought it was but I always thought it was kind of a weird character they created. It's like he's like the character nobody demanded. Miles Mayhem's evil twin brother. So I always want to know, like, from kind of like what the thinking was in creating him. I mean, Buzzard's actually a pretty cool toy, and getting two figures with it was cool at the time. And you know, I'm happy we have him. I'm happy he exists, but I'm not going to deny that he is kind of weird. The figure itself, I mean, I do like the fact that they kind of keep the Mayhem motif going. Like, he's got the rope on the side and the medals, and it does kind of feel like a racing outfit, but also has like kind of a lot of the uniform aesthetic as the original Miles Mayhem. So I do kind of like that. And I will give them credit. The head sculpt is different. I mean, they give him the monocle, and he does kind of have this like kind of growl going. So they do get credit on that. Nicely painted, nicely detailed. The red and blue on the figures is mirrored between the two figures, so that's cool. Then we have his mask, and in the cartoon, there's one episode where he uses it against the race car part of Goliath, and it creates this gigantic, really cool like wall of ice. And I'm like, and whereas Miles Mayhem shoots a bubble, I'm like, use the wall of ice thing more. Stop using Miles's bubble thing, the Flexor mask. So I always thought Deep Freeze was a really cool mask in the show. It's very similar to the other Miles Mayhem one. It's got the green gem on it. It always kind of felt to me like a bird-like appearance with how it sits on his head. The cartoon model even more so. The mask fits nicely on him. I actually really like the figure. I'm kind of actually thinking between A and B on this guy. I mean, I really like him. So, Bill, what do you think about Maxie here?
Well, I think he thinks that he's better than us because he's wearing a monocle. That's number one.
Well, I mean, he gets extra point just because of the monocle. I mean, let's be honest here.
No, he thinks he's better than me, and that's a point down. No, it's the monocle thing. It never really bothered me. I appreciated the fact that in the cartoon and here with the toy, that they realized that, hey, a 5-year-old kid won't be able to just tell them if you just give them twins that look exactly the same on the screen. It's gonna be hard to do, and to play to the strength of who they're marketing to. He looks like Miles, but he's got some subtle differences, and you see that in the figure. As you pointed out, the sculpt of the head, it's pretty much the same except the added detail of, you know, the mustache is a little bit larger, the hair is a little bit darker, you have the monocle. That's stuff that you put in to help, you know, separate. And I appreciate that as a marketing model, as any kind of thing that was really thought of through on that. I think that's a really cool dynamic that they had there. The one thing I don't understand, and I never will really, are the painted Glorias that they had.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's a whole other episode. While we have them up here though, which one do you like better? Do you like the Gloria mask or the original?
I'm going to be honest with you. I like the original one better. The
Okay.
Gloria mask is just so iconically Gloria.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really work with Miles. It's just every time you see it, it just doesn't look right. It looks like a repaint of Gloria's mask. If it was like a more obscure mask, like say like one of the other Split Seconds characters' masks, it might work better. But Gloria's, I feel like we've saw in the cartoon so much, it was so iconic, it just doesn't work for Miles for me.
Those masks being around too also lend to what I was kind of thinking in that Gloria episode that I did. why would, they had Gloria, they had all the stuff, they had stuff produced. Why didn't they put the rest of it out? And we can't talk about it now, but those things being out, those other masks, and I know they ran out of the originals over in Europe or whatever it was, so they used those. Why did they have them? I don't know, but I always like these figures. I'm not judging them together. They work really well together, but that's not what we're judging here. I feel like if I'm looking at this figure, if I'm playing with this when I'm a kid, or if I'm looking at this right now, I can tell that this guy is evil. Even though he was a little bumbling at times, like a little bit, I could tell that he has evil intentions, and I like that a lot. I'm willing to go B on this, but you said A, I think. So
I'd be okay with B.
well, we can figure that out there. It's the question of
I'm stuck between the two categories. So
like, do I like Maxie's figure better than Miles's figure? That'll be interesting. Let's go B. Actually, we'll go with A for Maxie.
Okay.
Maxie's gonna get an A. And then let's see how many we have left here. Oh, take a quick break, let my cat out. Him in the same uniform. That's where we're at. So it looks like Miles. It tastes like Miles. It smells like him. That's all normal stuff. The design on him is a complete mirror of Maxie. Just the color, as you said earlier, the colors are swapped. And the point I really like on the Max or the Miles figure is the part here when the mask is off. Even when his mask off, he still looks menacing. He has this gold kind of like shirt under whatever the hell he's wearing. Like it's like I don't know if you have yours in front of you, but he's got this gold kind of neck thing going on. When you take it off and you look at him, it's like he still looks menacing without the mask. And that's what you're going to try to go for when you're the leader of an evil organization. It looks uncomfortable, but I like it a lot, and I don't know what it is about everything here. The way that the gold on the boots, it's very subtle, but it ties in with the the strap and the metals. Very subtle things. And from my perspective, if I'm giving Maxie an A, Miles is going to fit in the same category for me, but I don't know about you.
With the Gloria mask, the other wrinkle of that is that the European releases were a little bit behind the US releases. So it's possible that like the split set, the racing series weren't released overseas until the split second stuff had been produced.
Okay.
So I always thought that was part of that wrinkle on there.
Could be, yeah, definitely.
So I have to check the dates because I know I actually bought my current buzzard, my nice shaped buzzard. It was actually a European one. I got it at a liquidator in the early 1990s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it was a European version. So I think I have.
Was there any?
I'll have to check the box dates on those. I don't know if I have the buzzard one left, but I'll check it.
Was there any difference in the toy at all, or was it just the box? Because that's mostly what I ever.
The box was different, and then the European instructions. I think I do have European instructions still, so I will definitely look at my collection to see if I can dig those out and see if there's anything about one it may.
I think my laser command instructions I have. I think they're overseas one. I think. I have to dig it out, but it's like a big. It's one you have to open up.
Big poster, and then the instructions are on the back.
So I think that's the overseas.
Yeah, I have multiple versions of Miles Mayhem of this one, and the figures otherwise are identical.
All right, back to Miles.
Back to Miles Mayhem.
So also too, I mean, not interrupt.
Okay.
You have a special affinity for this name too, right?
Oh yes, my my son is named Miles,
Yes.
and it's exactly what you all think it is. Well,
Dave is growing an evil genius empire builder.
the trick is when we have number 2 to name him Max. That's where it's going to be tricky.
Well, if you had twins, you would have had to done that, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, we would have had.
Maximus.
You had to.
I'm sure the wife would have loved it, right?
Oh yeah, because I just said, "What do you think of the name Miles?" And she's like, "I like the name Miles." And it's where I got the name from.
I like the story though.
But also, it's just like he's a very nice figure. I really like the look of him. Like I said, he does still have the military motif, but it still feels like the racing thing. The mask, with the exception of the gem on it, is identical. Everything I said about the other mask holds true for this one. It's got a pink gem, pink or purple. It's kind of purplish. It actually looks like the same color as Manta. Oh, that's kind of interesting. So I'm going to say A. I mean, they're brothers. They belong together. If you have one in one spot, the other in the other one, they're both A's. So
just to upset everybody that it's like, got like this anal retentive of anything. I'm going to do this. There you go. I want to see if it upsets anybody.
We just lost 4 subscribers just on that
alone. All right, so we got 2 A's there. It lines up perfectly as you see in the list there. So now we're up to Sly Rax from Saw Blade. That was it called? Pit Stop Catapult. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, Saw Blade's the name of the mask.
Yep.
I got them all confused there. I'm sorry, but after you, sir.
Okay. I think we both really liked the original Sly Rax design. And this is basically a repaint of Sly Rax. Repaints, my overall feeling with repaints, and I know we talked about Dusty a little bit, is that I don't necessarily think they're a bad thing. And if they do something different and unique with the figure, it can still be a really good toy. But this one, the colors are very different. The boots are blue, which is kind of weird to me. I kind of dig the black shirt and black pants. And the red coat with the blue boots, it always struck me as a bit weird. Still nicely detailed. The grenades are painted. The chains are painted. The device on his leg, I'm not exactly sure. Looks kind of like a holster maybe of some sort. Painted nicely. The mask is blue. Nicely painted. Same general paint applications as the original one. Obviously, it's blue with silver instead of being the gray. He's a nice figure, but he just feels inferior to the original one. If you want one Sly Rax in your collection, you want the Piranha version. It's nice that Sly Rax was still around in the racing series a little bit, even though Pit Stop Catapult basically got trounced by everybody.
It only moved so
fast. Took it out at least twice.
It like it moved like 2 miles an hour. It was like a Zamboni.
Yeah, it didn't fare well. I know Bulldog totaled it twice. I believe Meteor totaled it once at least. I think I'm really hard pressed to have any appearance in hand where it didn't get totaled.
Yeah.
He's an okay figure. But maybe C. I mean, he just. I'm okay with him, but it just feels like he's just inferior to the original Sly Rax to me.
So you're thinking?
So what do you think, Bill?
You're thinking C?
C.
So even though Sly Rax is in the B for us here, that doesn't mean that it's not a really great figure. We pointed out the issues we had with it in the previous episodes. The biggest issue with his figure is that the mask, the long mask, which is what this version has, covers up so much detail. And when you take a figure that's painted like the grayish green and the blue and the black, I love that color scheme on him. And then you turn him into whatever the hell this is. It's just a weird thing. Like you already had something pretty perfect, and I know you're looking to do something else and change him, but he's supposed to be like this hardened, gun for hire type guy, and he dresses like this. I would never take him seriously. If he came in and was like, I hear you have a job, I'd be like, for clowns? No, no, no. That's down the street. Like it's something about this where it's off-putting. The sculpt's still fine. I like the sculpt and the detail on it, but there's something about the whole layout of it that really doesn't work for me. And it might work for you. I mean, not for you and Dave, but for you watching. And it's not to slight anything. It's just really off. And I'm willing to go see, because I don't think anything's as bad as that Hondo. So
Not yet.
not yet, but I'm willing to go see on this one here. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll put him in the C. The C for crappy. Okay, good old Ace. Let's see how many we got left here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, it is now time for redemption round.
Okay.
So basically, if there's somebody up here in this list that you think should be higher or lower, give it a look. There's no pressure. We can edit out time here and all that. Convince me that it should be higher or lower, and I'll do the same afterwards. And we don't have to fight about it. Just point out some stuff. And if we could fight about it, I would load up virtual Rock'em Sock'em robots or something.
Okay.
I don't think I can, but it's just like, think about like, maybe that should be a little higher, whatever you have there. So now it's time for the redemption round here, and Dave's going to start, and he's going to pick a figure that should be higher or lower, try to convince me otherwise, and we'll see what happens. Dave?
I was actually thinking, there's a couple that I'm thinking that maybe we should have put a bit higher, but I'm going to pick on Dusty.
Okay.
I really like the color scheme on him, and I feel like the more I look at him, he's just so iconic. I know there's problems with the longer mask with him, but the more I think about him, I think he was still a really nice figure. I like the blue and the orange together, and he just always seemed to speak to me. So I'm almost thinking that he should be near the S category.
Wow. It's a bold move. It's like,
I know.
It's like you just put me in
you
just put me in check and chess. It's and that's the issue, is the long mask. But with his long mask, it doesn't really ruin the detail. Orange and blue is actually, like, I think one of my favorite color schemes you could do. That's like Calhoun. He's not a really great character, but I love the color scheme on him. And Dusty's one of the characters. If you ask somebody, do you remember Mask, and you show them, they'll remember that. So I'm not going to argue against. I will.
Mr. Hayes gets a promotion.
I will work with you. And now you got two people up there sitting in the S category. Now, my turn here. Now, I think that the Hondo from Hurricane should be in the S category. Now, hear me out on this. I'm kidding.
It should be. I mean, it's clearly.
I was actually going to make another category just for that and put it in its own category. No, I feel that I've done a disservice to Matt-Trakker Spectrum. My points are valid still from the previous episodes, but he's the face of it. If you're recollecting, you're starting with Brad, Matt, Miles, like that's who you're starting with essentially. And for me to put the namesake of the website in the B category, and to really like I said, I kind of slighted him a little bit. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I wish the design of him was a little bit better. I wish there was a little bit more detail, but I'm going to move him up based off of what I just said, that it's hard for me to say, Matt, you know what? You're a B. But I think you should be in the A category because of your status itself. And I mean, let's face it, the figure, the face of him, not a lot of detail, but it captures Matt in a way that I think really does move it up here. But I don't know if I convinced you on or not. You can say no, and that's fine.
I'll be honest with you. That's what there's like 3 or 4 that I kind of feel like I'd love to change the ranking on, and he's one I feel like, yes. He is possibly one of the most iconic mask figures there is. I mean,
I think he's one of the most iconic toys of the 80s, like the figure.
Yes,
itself.
I mean, I think he should just be higher on that regard. I still feel like the short mask is a little bit pinheaded a little bit. It feels small to me. But I'm again the only mask fan who likes this. The long mask has those pipes on the side, and I for some reason think those are cool. So I'll play a day just on that alone.
Like yeah, pipes, or I don't like them.
I always felt it made a little more
if it's going to help you move it up.
Reason.
If it's going to help you move it up, I'm not going to argue it. I love those.
I'm not going to argue with you. You convinced me.
Those pipes are great.
Yep.
All right, so that's the redemption round.
All right.
So we moved Dusty up to the Diamond S category and Matt up to A. And now we're on Ace Riker from Meteor. Now, I own Meteor sealed from the Chili find. I wanted to get a couple things out of it, so I have Meteor and Manta. Did I really want Meteor? No, I think it's one of the worst designed toys in the whole line, including the figure. I don't know what the hell they're going with this thing. I feel like I'm looking at a completely different toy line when I look at this figure. I don't feel mask at all. I feel something. It's not mask related. It's so out of place. This is not a flight uniform. This is like all this stuff just kind of throws me off with this figure. And I really did enjoy the original Ace Riker figure. I love the bomber jacket, the yellow shirt. This here, I'm just like, it looks like he's wearing like a mech suit, like almost like he's from like I said, a whole other toy line. Maybe Bionic 6, which made an appearance in Talking Overtime. Like that's what I feel. I love the mask. The mask is fantastic. I feel like this is a fighter pilot, mask or something by somebody that's going up in space or whatever the hell they're doing. The design of it is almost perfect from anything I've seen. There's such a minute detail on this, on the top of it. You got a little gold diamond. You have these squiggly lines with the silver, the gold eyes. It really is piercing, but the whole rest of the body is just like, what's happening with this? For me, I'm going C for crazy. Go with that. But I don't know. And again, it's a joint opinion here, and we work it out. So I don't know how you feel about this figure. You might love it, you might hate it, you might be in the middle. So let's find out, Dave.
I really like the Ace Riker character. Okay, so I'm not going to say I just like Ace Riker's character, but this figure, as a kid and as an adult, has never really worked for me. It always just felt a little bit too busy, and nothing in the. I will give it credit. It does have a lot of sculpted detail on him. I mean,
especially the crotch area. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just like, why is
it? Something nice about it. It does have a ton of sculpted detail on it. I don't think there's an inch of this figure of the body that doesn't. There's nothing that's not detailed on him. He's got that going for him, but detail doesn't equate good. The tubes and everything do seem appropriate for a pilot. The straps and everything. I mean, but it just doesn't work. The colors. I mean, maybe he needed another color scheme on him. Maybe I feel like he's one that maybe if they did like one of the European type repaints on him, they could have maybe improved on it somehow. Maybe it looked better in a different color scheme. I don't know.
Maybe that would have helped.
Like it just felt like the body. It just the gold and silver just kind of. It always just feels like it just kind of mushes together to me, and it just doesn't seem to work. I actually will echo liking the mask. I mean, it does look like the mask of a pilot. I do like the tube. Apparently I like tubes and pipes, so I like that. The goggles, it does feel very appropriate for Ace. And if we were just judging the mask would be a very high tier. But the rest of the figure drags it down. So I'm going to echo C. I mean, I've
like never done this before. How does this look? Get in focus. I'll post a picture, but I took the. Does it look better or worse?
And I will give him credit. The mask does fit on this figure very well, and I mean, it does the pipes and everything. It does seem to go together, but again, it doesn't equate. That doesn't equate good though of the figure. I mean, what little good it does have keeps it from the D range, but no, and we're going C.
All right, so you have the distinct honor of going with Nevada Rushmore first. Character that's probably the most underutilized in the whole series.
Yeah.
Literally never used. So fire away.
Okay, I'm going to kind of get this out of the way first thing. I'm going to say out of the entire mask line, this is the most politically incorrect mask figure there is. His mask shoots totem poles. I don't even know where to go with that.
They explode though, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect.
Yeah, and it's like this is one of those things where it's like, and if they did a modern mask toy line, he's a character who I imagine would be heavily redesigned. I don't dislike Nevada, but in no medium did he ever really get a ton of screen time. Like UK materials, yeah, he did show up, but I'm really hard to think of anything there that he did particularly like.
What about comics? Was he a larger presence in any of the comics?
No.
He
was there, but he didn't do anything like.
Just kind of stood there. I'll launch Goliath 2 for you, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he was there. He did have some scenes, but nothing that I remember off the top of my head that seemed overly remarkable. Nothing that changed my mind about him. But looking at the figure's detail, he's a very nicely detailed figure. The tattoo on the chest is nicely painted. I mean, he's got really nice painted detail. Like I don't know what you call it, the thing on his ear and the one ear is painted. The feathers on his head are painted. So he's got some nicely detailed. I mean, the figure itself is very colorful. It does stand out in a collection. The mask fits on him quite nicely. I do like the bird motif of it. But like I said, but there's a few points that I think should have been painted, like his crotch piece, which looks to be like maybe should have gotten maybe a little bit of paint on it. This one's a really, really hard one for me. I mean, I'm gonna say C. I mean, he's very nice otherwise, but he's kind of a non-character. I mean, he's the only Nevada Rushmore, period. But it feels like the political incorrectness of him will probably put a lot of people off. And he's just one I feel like just didn't age particularly well. So, Bill, what do you think?
Nevada, your mask power is terrible. But I like what Kenner and DIC we're trying to do here and incorporate different cultures and races and everything else. To take anything that is Native American and put it into something that is mainstream on TV it's a hard dynamic to get around, even from 1985 standards, without it being insensitive. What I look at though, when I see this figure minus the totem thing, like I wish it was something different, like a spirit animal or something that wasn't as derivative. I see a character and a figure that is actually paying some sort of tribute, probably to an ancient, tribe, or a tribe that's still going. So, and the figure itself is a departure from all the other molds that they've had. You can see some similarities in some of the other characters, and hey, maybe this was done the same way there. You have, aside from the crotch, I just like the way that this character, this figure, embodies the spirit of a Native American. And it's, let's say if I was a fan of Mask, right, in 1985, 86, and I was mostly Native American, I had nothing to say, this is me, when I'm playing with it. And that's a really cool thing that happened, I think, with this. Should the totem thing be different? Yes, it should be. But the simple fact that a certain group of people could look at this and go, I could be this person. This could be me. I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that there's inclusion. And I mean, not only that, the figure's well done. You pointed out the chest tattoo. If that was real, that would have hurt like hell to get that. The mask, it's got it's very what's the word I'm thinking of here? It's got such like really, really tight lines to it. It's very reminiscent of, I'm trying to think of, what is this? Very reminiscent of some of the older things you would have seen, like if you go to museums and you look at tribal masks for certain tribes that were worn during different ceremonies. Sorry, I studied a lot of Native American culture in college. The mask power is ridiculously stupid. Totem, fire, there, it blows up. It's like a minor inconvenience. But the character itself, the figure itself, that's the big thing. The figure itself being what it is, embodying what it is. For me, I go A for Nevada. And not a lot of people are going to agree with that. They might look at Nevada and think it's a terrible figure. I look at it in many different ways. So I'm thinking A because of what I just said. And it doesn't have to be A. I think you were around C, right?
Yeah, like I said, this is a really hard figure just because he's one that I feel like didn't age well. But with all the detail on the figure, everything they did right on the figure, I will defer. And you've kind of convinced me with the inclusion factor on him. I think we should go A on him.
Well, you know what? We can split the difference, and it's not. And it's not anything. It's not a slight or anything. I just like to just to tell a story. I know there's a family I know that the husband is 100% Native American. So I learn a little bit too about some of the past cultures and where the tribes were from and things of that nature. And I've studied a lot of history, which is good and bad. I love learning, but I also don't love learning about what humanity has done. And having this figure, I really think that it's like a really cool figure to have in any toy line. And that was one of the cool things that Kenner and DISA did. They were about inclusion, except for Gloria. other than that, you know, I think we're moving along pretty well here. We got Alex
Okay.
up next, and I think, is that you for Alex?
I can start with Alex.
Yeah.
If I don't remember. So Alex is an interesting figure. Again, he's another repaint. He continues the repaint of Dusty, Sly, and now Alex here. So came with a lower price point vehicle. He came with a collector. He came with a toll booth. So Alex was just destined to come with vehicles that really kind of stood in place, even though it does have thrusters on the bottom. So it could, in theory, fly. I mean, I can't imagine it flew very fast.
Yeah. Here comes the collector and Billboard Blast. They're gonna stop. They're gonna stop Buzzard. Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Well, to Billboard Blast credit, it did stop Buzzard twice in the series.
It's still terrible.
It's terrible, but apparently it has a really good track record against Buzzard.
It was probably like C3PO, like he did it by accident, right?
Yeah, I still maintain that the collector in the cartoon is the most overpowered mass vehicle there is. Because there's the one episode where Brad's trying to get away from Manta and Stinger, and Dusty's like, Brad, just get going. I'll handle this. Bilbo Black can fly if it has to. Dusty's like, yeah, if it has to. I'm like, he doesn't even need to use it at full power. He's just, and he actually held them off and won. It's like, what the heck? So, but getting back to Alex here, I actually really like the color scheme on this figure. The gray and the yellow and the black actually to me works better than the original in a lot of ways. I kind of dig it. I really like the yellow on him. But I feel like he has all the same flaws of the original Alex figure. It's not particularly exciting mold. I mean, he looks like Alex. He's iconically Alex. And he's a nice stand-in for the original. But original Alex figures were really single-carded, so they're not uncommon either. So I feel like where this repaint fails is in the mask. It's got silver highlights instead of the gray highlights, but it's a longer mask. It's the same blue mask, basically. So
yeah, I think
it's
still Jackrabbit, right? If I remember correctly.
It's just
no, Disruptor.
Disruptor, yes.
Yeah.
I just drew a blank on that. I just feel like the mask should have been different, and I feel like this could have like kind of elevated the figure. But where did we have the original Alex figure at? We had him in B. I'd say he's almost in the same category. He's between B and C for me. I just feel like had he had the different mask, he probably would be in the same tier as the original Alex. But he just didn't do anything to kind of elevate. I think I like the color scheme of this one better, but the mask should have been more different, in my opinion. So, Bill, what do you think?
Well, before we do that, what do you thinking the mask should have been? Like, what color scheme, or you think like a different color, a different mask itself?
I think it should, like all the other ones were repaint, so I assume that I'm assuming it was a cost issue with Kenner, so they it would have been the same thing. I've always thought about this one, and I've never been able to think of something. I don't know, maybe make the mask silver or with gold or something like that. I don't really know what they would do exactly. It just feels too much like the other Alex. I mean, to Sly and Dusty's credit to them, at least they did try to make the color schemes distinctly different from the other figures. I mean, you see a Fits Up Catapult Sly Rax next to original Sly Rax, you can instantly tell them apart. But this mask compared to the other mask, it's just too similar to me. So I don't know what I would make the color scheme exactly on the mask, but it just feels like it should have been something different.
Sorry, I'm eating. This is my dinner. I'm eating Planters Nuts, not a sponsor. I apologize.
No, you're good.
I love Alex. You're a great guy. You've done a lot. You've been through so much. And now you're a toll booth collector. What the hell happened to you? I think I think with this, you like this one better than the original. The original, I love the gray, blue, and brown together. I don't know what it is about it. It screams comfort to me. It screams, hey, I'm here. I'm going to help you and get you through this. I'm going to turn on my jackrabbit mask power and carry you over this fire. That's what I feel like with this thing. With this one here, with the mask being the same color, it feels incomplete to me. I feel that it was a kind of a cop out, maybe. Hey, we got this figure design. What do you want to do for the mask? Just put the same one on there. Who cares? I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I display it proudly up here on the shelf, but without them at least trying to do something different with it, they did a pretty good job with the figure, with the color scheme, the yellow and the black and the gray, but they missed the mark on doing something here with the mask itself. I'm going C, and I don't know if you agree with that fully, but
I'm going to say
okay, so that's where we're going to go for Alex.
I would fight for B if the mask was different.
If the mask was different, in the comments, if you're watching this, what color scheme do you think would actually work with this better? I'll think about this too. Like, I'm going to look at this and I'm just going to, like, when I'm actually supposed to be working, I'm just going to stare at this like this. I'm just going to be like, what do you need? Tell me. He doesn't actually talk, but maybe he does. I don't know. But I want to look and try to see if there's something that's like stands out in that fashion. So we got him there. So I think I'm up with Lester Sludge. First of all, he's anorexic. He's a very odd figure, to say the least. The face detail is 100%. If you're going down this scale and you get that kind of detail from a cartoon, it's spot on. It's one of the, if I'm going to judge the face detail, he's in the top 3, I think, in my opinion. The head sculpt, it's so perfect the way it is. The mask fits right on and it looks exactly like it should. It looks like I'm wearing a helmet as I'm riding my quad through the dirt and kicking out eventually a saw blade to try to kill you. It screams exactly what I see in the comic. He's very small, very slender. I don't know if not the comic, the cartoon, but I don't know if that's what he was in the cartoon itself. I don't remember exactly. Was he like a smaller guy? The design of him, if I'm being completely honest, which I always am, except right now, I'm going to say that that Hondo figure is the best figure ever. All right, now we're going back to reality. Here we go. If I am judging the character build based off the cartoon, aside from some of the flaws it has itself, there are some. This is probably definitive. Like, this is one of the ones that takes the cartoon, makes it 100% as a figure, and here you go. So I can't put it in the S category because of some of some of the I feel like some of the proportions might be off on the character itself, but the uniform, the mask, the face sculpt, it's almost perfect. But I don't know if I'm off on that because of that. But I'm going A for this one. And maybe you can help shed some light on that too. So what do you think, sir?
Okay. Lester the Lizard Sludge.
Man, it's
That's
every
a great
part of
name.
that is fantastic. Who doesn't want to be named that?
I will forever remember the first racing series mask episode I watched was Demolition Derby Duel to the Death. And I will never
I actually
forget
like that one a lot.
Lester Sludge showing up in that one. He was just so iconic, and I actually remember getting this figure as a kid.
Yes.
The story I told about I saw the toy commercial, and my dad took me out toy hunting. I found iguana, and I remember getting this figure as a kid. I mean, I have a really fond memory of being with my dad and getting this figure. So I'm a little bit biased. I'm not gonna lie. I will agree. He does embody the character perfectly. In the cartoon, I kind of remember him being kind of an average-sized guy. I don't remember him being particularly small, but he wasn't like a powerhouse either. I mean,
Yeah, naturally.
compared to say Cliff Dagger. I mean, I don't have my dagger with me right now. He doesn't seem to be too bad on the size.
Cliff Dagger's also 1.5 feet taller than everybody else, so
Yeah.
he was just sitting here hanging out. So I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no. The paint scheme is good. The boots aren't painted, which I assume is because of the vehicle he comes with, because you have to insert him into the vehicle by the boots. So I assume that's why the boots aren't painted.
Very good observation.
Everything else looks to be great on the figure, and I mean, I'm glad they didn't paint the boots, because we would forever not have any of these figures with nice looking boots because they would have been scraped up by kids. The mask, it does look like I do kind of like the helmet design of it. Mudslinger is a great mask. I mean, it's so ridiculous, but it fits the character really well, and it's sort of, I can kind of see it almost working to an extent. I mean, it just, for the character, it just fits. I'm gonna say A. I mean, to be completely honest with you, he feels like he does everything right. I mean, he's just not quite Nirvana, but I think he's great.
Well, I'm happy with that assessment. I'm glad we both agreed on the A category. Now you get to lead off with Shroud Tracker.
Shroud Tracker. Okay. So I kind of really dig this figure. I've always noticed that he seems to have kind of a cowboy motif going with him, and it always felt like the Native American, the classic cowboy and Indian thing with Nevada. I'm assuming that was intentional by Kenner. Between the gun on the hip, the star in the chest, he always kind of had a Western sort of feel to me, and I'm not really sure what motivated them to do that. The design is very nice. He appears decently bulky for a Matt-Trakker figure. The yellow and blue color scheme is actually quite nice on him. The silver highlights, the gun. The gun always seemed to be a bit weird to me even as a kid. I mean, Matt-Trakker, it's not wrong he has a gun, but, you have your mask, you don't usually use a gun, but it doesn't bother me one way or the other, it's there. The mask has the bandana on it, and strangely enough, I really dig the mask. And for some reason, I feel like the figure looks a lot like the animation model. Like stuff like the star on the back, the star on the arm. It just feels like it's nicely detailed. It feels like the show model. I'm actually looking towards almost A category on this guy. I actually kind of dig him. So, Bill, what do you think?
Well, you pointed out the kind of cowboy motif here, and I also get that same premise from the figure. Scarf, like a bandit almost, or a lawman that's riding through a dust storm on a horse. You have that kind of motif with them. The one thing I will point out about this figure is, all right, here's a regular size. Here's two Matt-Trakkers together, and I'll post a picture. They're not the same height. He's smaller than the other figures. And that's something that always bothered me, because Goliath 2 is open. There's no canopy. You can fit him in there. So this obviously was meant for him to fit in Goliath 1. Well, okay, but him and Nevada now are the same height. So that's where that came in. And so they could fit inside Goliath 1 together. That always bothered me a little bit. Not to a point where I'm like, oh, screw this thing. I love the uniform. It's departure completely from Ultra Flash, Spectrum, all these ones here that are already listed. You have, a third of it blue with the patch on it. You have the yellow and the blue flow up into the mask. You have the red scarf to help tie it all together, and the star on top. The mass power, creates a dust storm, or like a black.
It creates a cloud, like a fog cloud.
Yeah,
like a smoke screen.
You got the star on the back. You got the star on the mask. Star on the chest. Matt-Trakker's head. If this was as tall as everybody else, I go A, but I'm kind of thinking B, only because of that, his height. So I don't know what you think on that.
I could see B on this one.
You don't have
the
to.
other thing I kind of will say, kind of going against this figure is that it's like, it's a very, as you said before, it is a very big departure from what came before it. Because if you didn't see the head of him, you weren't going to guess he's the leader. He's Matt-Trakker. So I think that does bring him down a little bit to me in thinking about it. I still think he's a decent figure though, but I can see B.
B it is.
Alrighty.
Who we got next? We got Brad Turner. I think I'm up. So, first thing I'm going to point out, this is just a tip for collecting. Whenever you are buying this figure, ask the seller if it's hard or soft for the mask. Because for whatever reason, I literally have no idea why, the mask hardens on this very, very quickly, more so than any other one I've ever seen. If you get a nice soft mask like I have, you don't have to worry about it. But if the mask is hard, it's going to be brittle, and it's most likely going to break in transit. And I'm telling you this because it's happened to me before. Brad had one of the more iconic outfits of the line, and they didn't just repaint him, they remade him, because I think they knew that they had something pretty much perfect already, and they went with something a lot different. Now, it would be hard for him to look different compared to him in Razorback. Like, he fits everything that the car has, and I think that's what it's meant to be. I think he's supposed to be, that race car driver for that car, and whatever team he's on, other than mask, this is what he would be wearing. Do I love the outfit? It's not bad. There's some certain elements of it that I find a little odd. So you have the silver thing in the middle that goes across his chest and then downward, and then you have this blue and white stripe kind of going over his neck. It's just, there's a lot happening in one little spot. It's very odd. The mask fits well if it's actually going to be there and working. And again, like some of the other figures, he's got something here on the side. It almost looks exactly like what Buddy had on his. Let me find him here. Buddy's got a hammer and he looks like he has a gun. So yeah, again,
I'm
they
not
didn't
sure
really
what that is.
use those though. So I mean, I don't hate this figure. It's not one of my favorites. I'm willing to go C or B, just because it's nothing earth-shattering. It's a different mold and all this stuff, but they did that and nothing really came of it for me. So that's where I'm at. How about you, sir?
I think the colors on the figure are very nice. The red, white, and blue. He does stand out nicely. The mask, I will say, does integrate well with it. The whole package, I mean, he feels like a nice figure. Where I feel like he falls a bit short is that he's not the iconic Brad figure. If you're going to get one Brad figure in your collection, you want the Yellow Condor one. Let's face it. I mean, he's not bad. I mean, he does have some weird choices like the Darth Vader buttons on his chest and, I mean, the tubes and such. And then another set of Darth Vader like controls on his back. I don't know what that's going on there, but he's not bad. And I kind of feel like he's a solid B figure. He's not bad in any way. He does everything he needs to do, but he's not the iconic Brad Turner. And he's just okay in every regard. I mean, his mask looks good with him. Eclipse, I mean, and the one thing I will say about Eclipse is that it's not a bad mask power for Brad, and I mean, it does seem like something like he would use after using Hocus Pocus. I mean, Hocus Pocus is probably more useful, but I'd say he's a good figure, but he's just nothing remarkable. I mean, there's nothing about him that really makes me want to put him up in that A category.
All right. Down to our final one, and you're up. We've got Vanessa Warfield.
And I think we all had the same feeling, and same with even the review. It was about time we got to the Vanessa. I mean, in the toy line, Vanessa appeared in I believe the second episode of the series, and it wasn't until the racing series she got a figure finally. I mean, that's a completely another story for a completely another video. And with how many female figures in other lines never got toys, the fact we got Vanessa and Mana makes me happy. She definitely deserved a toy. It's great. She came out finally. I mean, would have been great she came out sooner, yes, but I'm not going to complain that we finally got her. All things considered, the figure itself, the head sculpt is actually quite nice. I think it does look like Vanessa. I mean, they got the black streak in her hair, a little bit of red on the lips. Really not bad at all. The red gloves and boots on the character's design, it does look a bit weird to me. But she feels like Vanessa, and I mean, she's the iconic Vanessa figure. I mean, even if you don't like the racing series and you just want to collect the first series, you still want this figure to go with your first and second series toys. The mask does look a lot like the animation model. It looks very nice. It's painted. The issue I have is it might be my versions of it, but the blue is a little bit different than the blue of her body, her suit. So that it doesn't drag it down. I mean, I feel like the figure is an A figure. I mean, it's an iconic figure that we waited a long time for that we finally got, and I'm happy we did give us in the line. So, what do you think on this one, Bill?
Oh, looking at what we have up here so far, there are 2 females that were in the line, and we haven't gotten to them yet. This is where we're at now. And I put her last purposely because I felt like that's probably what Kenner did.
You definitely.
And isn't exact? I don't think it's, you know, it's not an exact likeness of her. It definitely, when I look at her with the mask on, I'm looking at Vanessa. I see that.
Mhm.
And mine, I have to. Oh God, no! Sorry. I'm gonna rip her head off. Okay.
Yeah, the mask on this figure, I will say, all the ones I've ever had have been extremely tight.
She gets an elongated neck for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be the hair, but maybe that's why the reason they didn't want to do it right away. They couldn't figure out the hair.
But yeah, it's guys designing this.
Mhm.
So, I wish that the mask did match better,
Mhm.
but the simple fact that they are able to capture the essence of Vanessa here and the power that she has, like literally nobody really talks about that.
Mhm.
Not just with her mask, but like everything else that she knows and does. She's very dangerous. And it's something that really needs to be explored more. Like, could she run Venom? I think she could. If you know, I feel like she could betray Miles Mayhem and take over Venom. Like I feel like she has that ability. If the figure's mask was a little bit more matching, I might put it in the Diamond S category, but I'm willing to go A on this one if you are.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think is where this figure belongs. And
All right. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah, because Vanessa, I mean, she's a great character. I mean, and I will echo in the show when Miles wasn't around, she was the one leading Venom. I mean,
Yeah.
You can honestly say she was most likely the second in command of Venom. So
Yeah.
I kind of I see exactly where you're coming from with her. So I say solid A figure.
So now this is where we're at. We have
right.
series 4 to go through next. We also will go through the adventure packs, but not judging the extras that come with it, just
Okay.
figures themselves. And I'm not judging the clones because they're all the same thing. But maybe, you know, we can add some other things in the future, but those 2 things might round out the last parts of these lists. So I hope you, you know, as you're watching and you are going along with us, if you think anything should go up or down, tell us in the comments because I'm always here to listen. So is Dave.
Yeah.
And this is just our opinions. Obviously, this is not fact. Unless you believe everything I say to be fact, then it is. Don't do that though. It's not healthy. So we're here now, and I'm pretty happy with these lists. Nobody's down there with Hondo from Hurricane. That's important. And I think we're on a good path here. I don't know. What are you thinking right now? I think we're on a good path.
I feel like
now.
there's a few that maybe I might adjust, but I think we're on a good path with it. I'm really happy with how it's been progressing so far.
Okay. I am too. And you know, Dave, you're going to be having a new episode come out. What's your topic going to be on?
We're going to be talking about the second UK series known as the Eagle series of Mass Comics.
Okay. I look forward to learning about that because I don't own the comics. And I know a lot of people do appreciate the videos you put together. So keep up the great work on that. And if you guys want to see a different tier list that Dave and I do, post it in the comments. You could do vehicles, we could do the mass powers themselves, anything along those lines. So we can think about that and move forward. But we're going to get this done. I think for series 4 and the adventure pack, I think we're going to put them together in the last one.
Okay.
So we can get that because I think there's 8. Yeah, there's 8. I see. I just looked over and I see it right there. So, do you have, like I said, if you have any comments or any suggestions you want here, any questions about how we're doing this, feel free to ask. I always appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, please check out the playlist for Dave's videos, Boulder Hill Archive. And you can also find Dave randomly on the channel too if you do a search. And for Dave there somewhere, Bill, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to help keep Mask alive. And we'll talk to you later.
All right.
It's gonna live nation.